Up next in the broadcast, in protest over the government's decision to dispatch riot police to a railway strike event, the nation's largest umbrella group for trade unions says it will throw its support behind the Korail workers. Over in South Sudan, rebels take over key oil-producing towns in an escalation of deadly violence that's already included coup attempts, ethnic clashes, and evacuations. Seoulites wishing to jump into the Christmas spirit will have a bevy of options, and our cultural correspondent gives you Arirang's picks of the season. Primetime News begins now.
Good evening and welcome to Primetime News. It's Tuesday, December 24th here in Korea. Live from Seoul, I am Yoo Ji-hye.
And I'm Sean Lim. Thank you so much for joining us. We begin with President Park Geun-hye's visit on this Christmas Eve to the inter-Korean border to encourage South Korean soldiers who will not be home for Christmas. The
Korean leader also used the opportunity to send a clear message to Pyongyang about South Korea's response to any provocations. Arirang News' presidential office correspondent Oh Jun-ju has our top story.
President Park demanded a thorough security posture from the military so that North Korea wouldn't even dream of carrying out a provocation. During her Christmas Eve visit to frontline troops along the border with the North, President Park said the current political and security situation on the peninsula has become very serious, with the growing possibility of a North Korean provocation.
만약 도발을 해온다면 단호하고 가차없이 대응해서 국가와 국민의 안위를 지켜야 합니다.
The president added she has full faith in the judgment of the military and its commanders, and stressed that a strong awareness of national security is the only way to secure peace and prevent war. This is the first time President Park has visited a military unit since her inauguration in February. It comes after the South Korean government warned that Pyongyang could carry out a provocation in the coming months as part of efforts to stabilize its leadership following the execution of leader Kim Jong-un's uncle, Jang Sung-taek. President Park also met with and encouraged soldiers at a boot camp.
오늘도 안심하고 여러 일터에도 가고 생활을 할 수 있는 것은 다 전방에서 여러분들이 든든하게 나라를 지켜주고 있다는 그 믿음 때문 아니겠습니까?
She also assured the parents of the trainees through a video call, telling them about the enhanced facilities and culture of the military.
I felt a bit disappointed, but at the same time relieved when my son told me that the food they give you in the military units is better than the food I prepare for him.
어머님 안심시켜드리느라고 약간 가장하지 않았을까요?
Giving the soldiers a warm hug, the president told them that their military service is an opportunity to change their lives for the better if they maintain proper perspective. Oh Jun-ju, Arirang News.
So how do North Koreans celebrate Christmas Eve? They don't, but December 24th sure means a great deal to them, as it's a day to commemorate the late North Korean leader Kim Jong-il's rise to military power.
And it's also the birthday of leader Kim Jong-un's grandmother, Kim Jong-suk. Our Yu Lian reports on how the regime is marking this year's celebration.
December 24th is Christmas Eve, but over in North Korea, the day is celebrated for wholly different reasons. It marks the day North Korean leader Kim Jong-un's late father, Kim Jong-il, was officially made the state's top military commander back in 1991. It's also the birthday of Kim Jong-suk, who is leader Kim Jong-un's grandmother and the wife of the North Korea founder Kim Il-sung. The day is celebrated for both reasons, but there's something different about this year. The birthday of Kim's grandmother was highlighted more in the state media than in years past.
Kim Jong-suk, our female hero, has taken in the people's pain and agony as her own and shared in the joy and sorrow with us.
The main newspaper of the ruling party, the Nodong Sinmun, called her a peerless hero because of her devotion to safeguard her husband, Kim Il-sung. The paper did not mention the anniversary of late leader Kim Jong-il's rise to top military chief. It was only on the day of the anniversary on Tuesday that the North's official Korean Central News Agency reported that leader Kim Jong-un and senior military officials visited Kumsusan Palace of the Sun early in the morning, where the body of Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il line stayed. Experts say the change in focus is an attempt to reinforce the importance of the Kim family's royal bloodline, called the Mount Baekdu bloodline.
The only way to assert one's legitimacy is through the Mount Baekdu bloodline. The reason Chang Song-taek was executed was because he challenged this bloodline.
The latest propaganda comes only weeks after Pyongyang's former second-in-command, Kim Jong-un's uncle Chang Song-taek, was executed after being charged for treason. Yuri-an, Arirang News.
And North Korea appears to be making progress in its plans to get the Yongbyon Nuclear Scientific Research Center back online again.
New satellite imagery released on the U.S.-Korea Institute at Johns Hopkins School of Advanced International Studies 38 North website suggests the regime may be running a new fuel fabrication plant in Yongbyon. It's believed they are producing fuel there for a recently restarted 5-megawatt plutonium production reactor, an experimental light water reactor that is still under construction. The 38 North report goes on to say that the presence of these facilities indicates a more wide-ranging, extensive effort by North Korea to modernize and restart the Yongbyon complex than previously understood. And back here in the South, the deadlock continues on the political front.
The special parliamentary committee tasked with reforming the nation's spy agency failed once again to reach an agreement on Tuesday. The ruling and opposition parties remain at odds over the scope of reforms, with two issues taking center stage: banning the National Intelligence Service from engaging in cyber warfare and barring NIS information officers from entering government agencies. The Democratic Party is in favor of both and wants to enact the reforms into law, but the ruling's Henry Party says doing so would severely limit the role of the NIS. The leaders of the committee are going to meet again on Thursday. And on to the latest on the ongoing railway strike. There seems to be no sign of compromise.
The fight may get even bigger as the country's largest labor union is set to join the railway workers in a mass demonstration this weekend. Kim Hyun-ji reports on a protracted labor strife.
The Federation of Korean Trade Unions, the nation's largest and oldest trade union umbrella group, says it will participate in a mass protest rally by striking railway workers, set for this Saturday, December 28th, in a show of support for the Korean Railway Workers Union and the Korean Confederation of Trade Unions. Explaining its decision to Arirang TV Tuesday, the FKTU said it was appalled by the government's use of force Sunday when police raided the main office of the Korean Confederation of Trade Unions to arrest key union leaders of the state-run rail operator, Korail. The Korean Confederation of Trade Unions is the second largest trade union center and is considered to be more militant. The FKTU said such plunder of a major labor union federation by the authorities was unprecedented. Korail has been striking for more than 2 weeks in protest of the government's decision to create a subsidiary for a new high-speed KTX train service, saying the move is the first step toward privatization. The government says the strike is illegal, and it dispatched hundreds of riot police to the KCTU headquarters, taking into custody more than 130 railway union workers. The FKTU is demanding the government apologize for the raid and take disciplinary action against those responsible for the decision to use force. Until its demands are met, the largest labor union says it will refuse to talk to the government. In an emergency meeting of union member representatives Monday, the FKTU decided to drop out of the Tripartite Commission of Labor, Management and Government. The decision severs the official channel of dialogue between the nation's labor unions and the government, as the FKTU was the sole group representing labor in the Tripartite Commission, which was launched in 1998. Korail's decision to hire around 500 new workers to replace the striking railway workers has also upset the labor groups. In a cabinet meeting Tuesday, Prime Minister Chung Won called on the striking railway workers to return to work, saying the government has already given its word not to privatize Korail. Kim Hyun-ji, Arirang News.
Before your day ends and another begins, get the latest news live from Seoul.
Residents whose features
restrictions is on the rise.
closing ceremony.
Expert analysis from Asia's heartbeat.
The legislature, circumstances that
With a viewpoint only Korea's global network can provide.
the United States, the latest report, less than a
Unrivaled access from a team always on standby.
meeting came on.
Maneuver trying to cover up the South's true intentions in maintaining confrontation.
Over in South Sudan, clashes between rebel forces and the government have led to hundreds of deaths and over 40,000 evacuations. Kim Ji-yeon reports on the fragile conditions that prompted the UN to seek the deployment of more peacekeepers to the area.
The violence is escalating between rebel forces led by Vice President Riek Machar and the South Sudan government. The rebels have taken over major towns in the oil-producing region, while the international community is on standby for what could be the first civil war in the world's newest country. The conflict started a week ago when South Sudan's President Salva Kiir said forces loyal to Machar attempted to launch a coup, triggering ethnic clashes last week that have so far left hundreds dead. The UN says some 45,000 civilians are currently seeking protection at UN bases in South Sudan. UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon has asked the UN Security Council to add to the 7,000 peacekeeping troops in South Sudan amid the escalating violence there.
The United Nations will investigate reports of grave human rights violations and crimes against humanity.
U.S. citizens and foreigners from other countries were evacuated from the rebel-controlled town of Bor over the weekend. And on Monday, the United States moved 150 Marines into the unstable state for further evacuations. Meanwhile, a Korean peacekeeping force is set to receive additional ammunition from Japan to enhance its defense capability, following a Korean government request to the UN. A unit of 280 engineers and medical workers is currently providing protection to thousands of refugees, in addition to its work with the UN mission there. Korea's Ministry of Defense said it is not currently considering sending more peacekeeping troops to the region. However, it did say it would conduct a thorough review once the UN Security Council sends an official request to the Korean government. Kim Ji-yeon, Arirang News.
In other news, Hyundai Motor and its affiliate Kia Motors have agreed to settle lawsuits by paying $395 million to American customers who feel they're misled by the automaker's fuel economy claims. The automakers say customers with affected models sold from 2011 to 2013 can now either choose between a lump sum payment or lifetime reimbursement. The Hyundai says it expects to pay lump sum payments of up to $210 million and Kia up to $185 million. The auto group acknowledged that it overstated its fuel economy claims in November 2012 after the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency pointed out the inflated numbers in 13 Hyundai and Kia models. More auto news. A growing number of electronics companies see cars as the next cash cow. They're breaking through the saturated electronics market by selling not to the makers of smartphones and other electronic devices, but to automakers. Our Kim Myung-gil tells us more.
Did you know that nearly half of your car components are built with electronic devices? The consumer electronics market has become saturated, so chip makers, camera manufacturers, and electronics companies are making their way into the auto market. This four-cylinder car, for example, has an electronic device called a torque angle sensor in the steering wheel, which helps improve maneuverability. The device works in tandem with a wireless modem and a near-field communication device installed in front of the car that enable data transfers between the two devices. There are also cameras installed on the front and back ends of the car that show how close the car is to another vehicle. Market researcher Strategy Analytics say the electronic device market for automobiles is expected to reach $274 billion in 2017 from last year's $190 billion. Korean IT firms like MDS Technology, MC Next, and Nextchip are recording total annual sales of between $47 million and $66 million, and they're seeing their sales in overseas markets increase. Camera maker MC Next supplies car camera modules to French automaker Peugeot and Sweden-based automaker Volvo. Analysts say more IT firms are moving into the auto industry as they are able to produce components for a longer period of time than mobile phones, which have a maximum product life cycle of a year. Kim Young-gil, Arirang News.
Today is Christmas Eve here in Korea, which means people throughout Korea are spending quality time with their loved ones. And I hear that a great number of them are outside this evening enjoying some of this mild winter weather we've had recently.
For details on what Christmas Eve looks like in downtown Seoul, let's connect live to our Kim Bo-kyung. Now, Bo-kyung, where are you right now?
Well, Merry Christmas Eve, guys. I'm standing in front of Seoul Plaza's ice rink, and as you can see, it is filled with people and Christmas music. And behind me is an 18-meter tall, gorgeous Christmas tree that is shining the night. Now, although we won't be getting a white Christmas this year, thanks to the warmer than the average temperatures, many people are out here with their loved ones getting into the holiday spirit. The big smile on the visitors' faces really makes it feel as though the time of love and warmth has come. Until a couple of years ago, Christmas here in Korea was more about romance, but today many are out here with their family and friends. So if you haven't made plans already, you should definitely consider coming out and getting a glimpse of the festive mood. The Seoul Plaza ice rink is open every day and it will be open through 12 a.m. tonight. As for tomorrow's weather, more mild temperatures are in the forecast. But the bad news is that instead of snow, we will be getting high levels of fine dust. Also, those of you on the south coast and Jeju will see passing snow showers tomorrow late at night. Looking ahead at tomorrow's readings, Seoul makes it to 5 degrees, all the while Busan tops out at 11. As for other regions, Jeju reaches 10 degrees. Meanwhile, Dokdo and Kumgang peak at 7 and -7 degrees respectively. Well, wish you a Merry Christmas Eve, and I'll be back with more updates after midnight.
All right, well, with many people taking time off for Christmas, it's the perfect opportunity to enjoy ourselves by catching some year-end festivities like performances, movies, or exhibitions.
Our cultural correspondent Park Ji-won joins us in the studio to give us a rundown of some of the must-see performances and shows this holiday season. Good evening, Ji-won, and Merry Christmas.
Well, Merry Christmas to you too. Well, I can't believe it's already Christmas, and what better way to enjoy it than to see a performance or exhibitions with your friends or loved ones. So here are some of the hottest tickets in Seoul this season. Let's take a look.
The most Christmassy performance of this festive season is undoubtedly the Nutcracker. This magical ballet, first performed in late 19th century Russia, has been celebrated as the world's signature Christmas production for more than 100 years. The country's two major ballet companies, the Korean National Ballet and the Universal Ballet, present the Nutcracker every year. Set to the beautiful music by Tchaikovsky, the ballet begins with a Christmas party at which a young girl receives a Nutcracker doll as a present. She goes to sleep, and in her dream, the Nutcracker doll turns into a charming prince. Together, they head off to Christmas land, where they get married in a majestic wedding. Although the dreamy prince turns back into a doll when she wakes up on Christmas morning, the holiday spirit still remains for she and her family to enjoy. December is another must-see performance this season. It's an original Korean musical that premiered earlier this month, and it features dozens of songs by the late Korean singer Kim Kwang-seok. The original musical was created by those who still remember Kim's heartfelt songs and lyrics, and it commemorates the 50th anniversary of the legendary Korean singer's birth. Kim Jun-soo from the K-pop group JYJ plays the leading role, and acclaimed theater and film director Jang Jin produces. For theater fans and those who'd like a bit of traditional culture on this Christmas holiday, the National Theater Company of Korea is now presenting Lady Hong in the Palace until the end of the month. The play is inspired by the true story of Lady Hong. She was the mother of King Jeongjo, the 22nd king of the Joseon dynasty, and the wife of the tragic crown prince Sado, who was left to die locked up in a chest by his father, King Yeongjo, in the 18th century. The production employs many elements of traditional Korean dance and music to describe the protagonist's inner pain and struggles. And on the movie front, the Korean film The Attorney is currently leading the box office this week. Released about a week ago, the drama is about a lawyer who fights for justice, modeled after the late Korean President Roh Moo-hyun. The film has already sold out more than 1.3 million tickets so far. Another Korean film, Way Back Home, is also drawing audiences to movie theaters. The film stars Cannes-winning Korean actress Chun Do-yeon, who also plays a character modeled on a real person. The woman was arrested in France in 2004 for carrying drugs, but she didn't know it. The film centers on the love of her family, which is the most important message to remember during this holiday season.
Well, that's certainly a lot to choose from. What's going on at the nation's museums and galleries?
Well, most museums in the nation will be open on Christmas Day from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. And I would recommend the Seoul branch of the National Museum of Modern and Contemporary Art, Korea, which opened last month, or the National Museum of Korean Contemporary History, which opened a year ago.
Do you want any special treat for classical music lovers?
Well, last but not least, the Seoul Philharmonic Orchestra will present its traditional year-end concert, Beethoven Symphony No. 9 Choral, for 2 days at the end of this year. Well, it has been the orchestra's most popular piece since 2008. This beautiful music, representing humankind's eternal hope for peace and harmony, is the perfect piece for wrapping up the past year and prepare to start a new year. Well, unfortunately, all of the tickets are already sold out, but the orchestra's choral, conducted by Maestro Jung Myung-hoon, this was recorded at last year's year-end concert. This album was released just earlier this month on Deutsche Grammophon, so you can also check that out.
All right, so there's no excuse for anybody who says they're bored this holiday season. Thanks so much for that report.
Thank you. Bye.
And with the holidays here, even football players need a vacation.
And with the Dutch League on winter break, one superstar has found his way back home. Stephen Che joins us with the details. Hello there.
Hey guys, and that person is none other than South Korea's living legend Park Ji-sung, who's only managed to play in a handful of matches since returning from injury. Now, earlier this month, he returned to PSV Eindhoven as a sub in 2 losing matches, and that was before being placed back into the starting 11 and helping his team to 2 straight wins heading into the break. Now, he'll make some appearances on behalf of his JS Foundation and rest up before returning to PSV for the match against Ajax Amsterdam on January 20th. Now we go from one star to another. Top speed skater Lee Sang-hwa will be awarded for excellence by the Korea Skating Union. She has no peers in her race of choice, the 500-meter sprint. And I mean that literally. Lee broke the world record time in January earlier this year before twice improving on it with a time of 36.36 seconds. Now the KSU will hand her a nearly $19,000 prize at an awards ceremony on Friday. Now moving on to Major League Baseball, the Texas Rangers are now serious contenders to reach the World Series after picking up Chu Jin-soo. Experts say Chu was the last piece for a loaded lineup, which also features the newly acquired Prince Fielder. And with their solid pitching staff, Texas may just emerge as the top team in the American League. And leaving that there, let's get to tonight's top matches starting in the KBL. The Orioles beat KGC 63-58, but now we go on to the game of the night. It's the Dongbu Promi taking on the Mobis Phoebus. Dongbu starts off dominating the first before Mobis picks it up. Mobis is up by 7 at the half. Now the great team play continues into the third as 7 players tally up 27 points. Dongbu can't recover and Mobis wins easily 84-72. Now it's the V-League. The LIG Graders face the KEPCO Vic Storm in Kumi. Now let's get straight to the highlights. Now the Vic Storm pull the rug from under the Graders in the first set, but the Graders rally and take the second set 35-33. Now momentum seesaws back to the Vic Storm before coming back to the Graders. We go to the last set. We have Edgar and Kim Yo-han leading the attack, and the Graders come out the victors 3-2. Now that does it for me here in the Sports Center. This has been Stephen Choi. Check back at midnight for the latest in the world of sports.
Zion's daughter, let me hear your voice. Joyful and triumphant, Israel rejoice. All the years you lived in darkness and despair, now your King is born and joy is everywhere.
And that's our broadcast on this Christmas Eve. I'm Yuji Hain, Seoul.
And I'm Sean Lim. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.